Hello everyone, welcome to the Arsenal Way. And yes, we have another episode of Talking Transfers for you guys. Of course, there's less than a month until the Premier League begins and Arsenal is still yet to complete their transfer business. So of course, the transfer window rumour mill is rolling at the moment and it's only right we talk about the certain transfers in here. And to talk about potential transfers, I've got Chris Davison as usual on the show with me. Chris, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Bailey. Good afternoon to everyone tuning in. Hope everyone's well, and looking forward to talking a bit about some Arsenal transfers. As you say, it's gone a bit quiet, but still business to be done.
Still business to be done indeed. And Alfie, how are you, mate, as usual?
Yeah, good afternoon, Bailey. I'm doing well. Like Chris said, a bit quieter than a couple of weeks ago, but still excited to get into them. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking, Alfie. I'm good. Second show of the day. So let's get started and let's get talking about some of the transfers and some of the players we've been linked to. Now, let's talk about the midfield first. And of course, we signed Fabio Vieira, but we've been linked to Youri Tielemans. And apparently that deal has collapsed for now. It's called, should I say, for now. So that might still be revisited. But in the meantime, we have been linked to another player in the Serie A that goes by the name of Milinković-Savić from Lazio. Chris, reports have been saying that we've had a first bid rejected for him. If you do believe the reports, but is Milinković-Savić the type of player Arsenal need?
Well, it's interesting because he's another midfielder like Tielemans, as you mentioned there, who can score goals from midfield. He's technically very, very sound, good going forward, good on the ball, can pick out some great passes. Quite a big unit as well, so physically, fits in with the Premier League. It's an interesting link. I think he's been linked with Manchester United in the past as well. So obviously a player that's highly admired in the Premier League, amongst other leagues out there as well. So an interesting link. Like I say, still seems as if it's early days, really. Nothing concrete been reported just yet, it seems, but maybe one to keep an eye on. I think my only sort of doubt with this one is that I think he's around 27 years old, I think now, and he's been at Lazio for a while. So my question would be, why hasn't anyone else touched him just yet? Apparently he's very, very good. He's highly rated. One of the standouts at Lazio. So why hasn't anyone gone in for him? That's the only sort of doubt I have, I guess. But look, we need numbers. We need that extra quality. If Savić does become an Arsenal player that later down the line, then I'd be pleased, because obviously, like I say, everything you read, everything you hear, it's mostly very positive about him. So on top of that, obviously you've got Arteta, who overall has done very well in scouting the players, picking the players he wants. He has a very clear idea of the style of player as well. So an intriguing link, one to keep an eye on, because I don't think Tielemans is 100% dead yet, as you say, Bailey. So we'll see how things develop.
Of course, Alfie, you have to choose one player: Milinković-Savić or Youri Tielemans. Who are you going for?
That's a tough question, Bailey. I think, as a player, I think Milinković-Savić is a better player, but for value, I think they said that they wouldn't accept anything less than 70 million. And if we could pick up Tielemans for the reported 25 million, then I think if it meant that we could spend more on a winger, then I probably would pick Tielemans. But I do agree with what Chris said. I think he's a fantastic player personally, from what I've seen of him. I think he'd fill in a really good spot in that number 8 role. He's just as good going back as he is going forward. And he's just come off his best season sort of for goal contributions for Lazio. I think double figures for both. Off the top of my head, I think 11 goals, 12 assists, brilliant in the air, and just for me, like a Rolls Royce of a player. But like I say, just that 70 million price tag just seems to be a bit too high. I mean, I read a report, we put a bid in for, I think, 55 million euros, looking at another one of 65 million euros. It looks like we're sort of beating around the bush and trying to get under that 70 million. But I know a couple of years back, I'm pretty sure, they rejected a bid from Real Madrid for upwards of 100 million. So they're obviously keen to keep hold of him. So if, it comes to us having to overpay for him, I think I'd rather take Tielemans just for, the lower price tag and the Premier League sort of proven quality.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know our very own Tom Canton is a big fan of Milinković-Savić, but I am in the boat of Chris when he says, why has he not made the big move? I agree. I think if you're a good player, you're going to move to a big club. I think that's just a natural process of football. And Milinković-Savić has seemed to be at Lazio for all of his career now. And I think if he was to be a top world-class player, club certainly would have come. But now he's around the age of 27. I think he would have made the big move already. So I think with the price Lazio are trying to gain from Arsenal, I think it's a deal we should avoid and definitely go for a player like Yuri Tielemans, who's 25 million. I also think there's better options out there. And let's move on to the next potential midfield option, and that's Amadou Onana from Lille. Of course, Arsenal have an excellent connection with Lille. We look at players like Gervinho, Gabriel Magalhaes, Nicolas Pepe. Of course, we sign players from that club. We do have a good connection. So there could be another connection for another transfer, which we shall see that could happen. Now, of course, in the recent days, Sky Sports have reported that West Ham have had a bid rejected to try and sign him. Chris, is Onana a player we should be going for, considering he is a Belgium international and we do have Albert Samuel Congo? Do you think there'll be a conflict of interest right there?
I mean, I was fairly surprised when this link popped up the other day. And, look, I'm not going to question the guy's talent. He's clearly very promising. He's still very young, highly rated prospect. But, for me, it would be a similar move to Sambi Lokonga last summer. We looked to get in, a young, promising, up-and-coming central midfielder, again, in a similar age bracket, Belgium international. And it's safe to say, and I think it's fair to say, that it was a bit of a rocky 2021-22 campaign for Sambi. Obviously, first season in England, in a new team. It was always going to be difficult. I didn't expect him to come in and take everyone by surprise. You've got to be patient, and you've got to understand that, again, like I say, he's still young, he's still got a lot to learn. And no disrespect to Anderlecht, but going from there to Arsenal and to the Premier League, it's a huge move. So I'd be surprised if Arteta, after taking that risk with Sambi and after seeing the struggles that he has had to endure over the past season, I'd be surprised if Arteta then wants to spend big on another sort of young Belgian midfielder in Onana. So like I said, was fairly surprised by the links. Obviously, I'm not sure how concrete they are. It might be a player that Arsenal maybe they are indeed looking at, but maybe more for the long term. It might not be one for this window, just a player that they're keeping a close eye on to see what he does in the future. We've just been speaking about the likes of Tielemans and Savić there. In terms of sort of experience, style of play, what they would bring to the team, and sort of the risk factor of the deals, I suppose they make far more sense, because you know what you're going to be getting. You're going to be getting, obviously, Savić is already experienced with his age and with the amount of games he's already played in Italy. But then with Tielemans, he's got that Premier League experience. So, those two deals, if we were to get one or the other, it'd be playing it a lot more safe. You'd know what you'd be getting, and I think with what they offer and the experience that they offer, that's the sort of player that we need to be looking at right now. So I'm leaning more towards your Tielemans, your Savić's, rather than someone like Onana, who has still got a lot to prove, and for me is similar to someone like Sambi Lokonga.
Of course. Alfie, if I'm playing devil's advocate here to what Chris said, with the similarities between Onana and Sambi Lokonga, does sometimes you have to be ruthless in the transfer window, and if a youngster's better than a youngster, you still go for it anyway. You look at Real Madrid, of course, they have Rodrigo in the ranks, but then they also have Vinicius Jr. They signed Reina, of course, when they went on to Borussia Dortmund, and it didn't work out. But the fact that they signed Vinicius, they was able to get a star at that. So do you think sometimes you need to be ruthless and just say, hey, look, Onana's got more talent, he's got more potential than Sambi Lokonga, so we'll do it anyway, despite that it could potentially stunt the growth of Sambi, who's already at the club?
Yeah, I guess you do sometimes, but I think for me, I'd be a bit biased. I'm a big fan of Lokonga. I think he's shown glimpses this season of what he can do. Like Chris said, it's a massive jump up from the Belgian league to the Premier League. And I think when he's come in at times, he's done a job. It's been a tough season for him. Been chucked in at the deep end with injuries to Partey and Xhaka throughout the campaign. And I think that this season, we've mentioned so many times before on here about Europa League football and how good that is for development. I think that he'll be a starter in the Europa League, and I think that will help him with his development and sort of help him for when he does have to play Premier League football, because no doubt that he will do at some point. But on Onana, I think if we're being ruthless, I think from what I've seen of him, he's a lot more physical. Everyone sort of in the comments saying about his tackling, his interceptions. He does look brilliant defensively. And for a 20-year-old, I've got to be honest, he is a bit of a unit. So I think that physicality that he'd had in the midfield is something that sometimes when you look at Lokonga, I mean, we've seen at times this season, he's been knocked off the ball. And I can't remember the game, but we conceded from him getting knocked off the ball. And I remember feeling so frustrated, thinking, you know, he's got the talent, but it's just not got that physicality for the Premier League. So if we're being ruthless, then Onana would bring that physicality that Lokonga perhaps hasn't got yet. But I think we're looking at, the 23 million euro bid that West Ham had rejected. If we'd have to spend any more than that on a player that, you know, I think he's only made 11 starts in Liga in this season. He's not been a consistent starter for Lille, who have gone from league winners. Now they finished 10th. I think it's a massive risk anyway, signing players from France. I think, like Chris said, I'd rather a Savić or a Tielemans, someone who's a bit more experienced. We've got plenty of youth. We need to start adding a bit more experience to that. I'm not saying signing sort of 33-year-olds like we was with the likes of Willian, but sort of get those players that are coming into the prime, like Savić, 27. He should be hitting his prime, like we said earlier. He's come off his best goal contribution, so he's obviously starting to hit those levels. I think we need to start signing those players, so then we've got a great balance of youth and experience. So for me, it's a signing that doesn't really make too much sense, especially for the money that we're being quoted.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. And let's move on to the wing position now. Now, a player who I really like is Moussa Diaby, and he's been linked to the club. As soon as Rafinha, it seemed like Chelsea were about to hijack a deal. I believe that the next alternative should be Moussa Diaby. I think he's been excellent for Bayer Leverkusen. He showed his quality at PSG. Of course, PSG have the wonderful front three and the money behind them. So it was tough for him to break into the squad there. But at Bayer Leverkusen, he showed the directness, the pace he has, and the skill also. And he is decent in front of goal. And I think he would be an excellent signing for Arsenal. Chris, do you agree with me there?
I do really impressed with him at Bayer Leverkusen, as you say. Been on fire for them. You know, his numbers are really impressive. Can't think what they are off the top of my head, but I think he's in double figures with goals and assists. You know, he's been on fire, and you know, when you're looking at the options that are out there, obviously, as you mentioned just then, we've gone for Rafinha. But now it looks as if Chelsea and Barcelona are maybe just in front. It remains to be seen where that one goes, because nothing seems concrete at the minute. It's one that could drag on. But it's important that Arsenal absolutely have other options lined up. I think they will as well. We've been linked to other forwards in the past, and yeah, I think looking at the situation going into next season with Nicola Pepe potentially obviously on the move this summer, it would be rather naive for the club to, you know, not have any solid competition and depth support there for someone like Bukayo Saka. Obviously, I mean, I mentioned it in this morning's show or to yourself, Bailey, and Tom afterwards, that if Pepe was to go and we weren't able to get anyone else in those wing areas, then I'd personally be happy to give Reece Nelson another shot, especially after how he finished the season with Feyenoord just gone. So, you know, it looks as if he's improved physically and as a player. He's obviously with the squad in Germany at the minute for pre-season, so it'd be interesting to see how that develops. We've obviously brought in Marquinhos as well as another summer signing. I wouldn't be surprised if obviously a loan move is on the cards, but again, you know, you can't rule him out coming in, impressing in pre-season, following the path of someone like Gabriel Martinelli and actually stamping down a place in this team. He's left-footed. He's a winger. He's quick. He's got tricky feet. So again, you know, he has the qualities to fit in on that right-hand side. But look, Mikel Arteta has set the challenge of his Arsenal team to score at least 100 goals this upcoming season. And you know, you've both spoken about being ruthless in the window. And if you're wanting to reach that sort of number next season or any time moving forward, you know, you've got to be ruthless in the transfer market. I think we've done that by bringing in Gabriel Jesus. It's a big statement signing. He'll bang in the goals for us. We know Saka can bang in the goals for us. We know Martinelli can do the same, even Emile Smith-Rowe from the left-hand side. But if Saka isn't in the team, you look at that side of the pitch and you think, look, Nicola Pepe is struggling for consistency. You can see why we're looking to offload him. The step down from Bukayo Saka, and it's no disrespect to the obviously the other wingers, but maybe I shouldn't say the step down, but the gap that is there between Bukayo Saka and some of the other wide players, it's big, and you need someone to come in. You look at the likes of Liverpool, Man City, the depth, the quality that they have on the bench. You need someone to come in for Arsenal and be that. That player that reduces that gap from when Bukayo Saka is not in the team. Someone else that can replace him, take off from where Saka's left, and score the goals, provide the assists, provide the big moments in games, and get things moving up front, beat the players, have that confidence. I've seen, we've all seen Nicola Pepe have those moments where you think he can do that, but he struggled to find the consistency. I think he's struggled to adapt to English football, and ultimately, unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. So if we can move Pepe on this summer, I really do think it would be wise for Arsenal to bring in another wide player, whether that's Diaby, whether that's Rafinha, whether that's even Cody Gakpo. I think those are the sort of names we absolutely need to be looking for, and all of those names would absolutely be upgrades on what we have.
Absolutely. And Alfie, how would you like to see Diaby in a team? Do you think he would fit in Arteta's team? Do you think he can maybe overtake Saka or go to the left-hand side maybe?
Yeah, I think in terms of the quality, he's definitely got that. He's shown that for Bayer Leverkusen over the last couple of seasons. As Chris said, hit double figures for goals and assists. I think he's done that the last 2 seasons across all competitions. Look, he'd be a fantastic signing. It's just a signing that, I mean, I don't want to say there's not been too many links. I haven't seen any links really for the last sort of month. But we know that links aren't always there. I mean, Vieira come out of nowhere, so we could see that again with Diaby. But I just find it a move that I think we'd struggle to get through. He's one of the star players at Leverkusen. They've just finished 3rd in the league, so he's got Champions League football. I think it's one of those ones that, if we had got the top 4 and qualified for the Champions League, I think we'd be looking at a realistic signing. But now, would he want to drop down to the Europa League and sort of risk maybe not fitting in, and then next season we have another season of Europa League, and it doesn't work out for him. So I think it'd be a transfer that we'd struggle to get over the line. But I do think he is a brilliant player, and if we did somehow sign him, I think that he'd definitely improve us. And with Saka, I think he'd push him all the way, because I don't think there's too much in between them. Like I say, a talented player. Obviously, PSG have produced some fantastic talents sort of throughout the last 5 years that unfortunately haven't made it, in France, but have gone elsewhere and made a name for themselves. So yeah, I think he is a brilliant player, but it is a position that I imagine that we will strengthen. But a comment I just seen about Marquinhos sort of on his physicality, and we looked at Martinelli when he came. He was quite a skinny teenager, didn't look built for the Premier League that first season. Expected him to go on loan, ended up hitting double figures for goals and surprised us all. And the comment saying about his physicality, it is surprised me seeing all these photos of him in pre-season. He looks, for a teenager, he's already quite built physically. And I think that'll help him. I mean, you see some of the Premier League defenders now. I think, he could be shrugging them off. So maybe it's sort of, we're waiting for pre-season to see if he can, impress and maybe push as that second right winger behind Bukayo Saka to fill in when, we've seen how many times. And so maybe that's sort of the plan that they're seeing, how Marquinhos gets on, and maybe saving him a bit of money to go towards, you say, a Milinković-Savić at central midfield, and save that on right wing. And as Chris also said, bring Reece Nelson for that extra cover. But unfortunately, I think Nelson's days at Arsenal are probably numbered. I think I've read he's looking at Feyenoord, and to be honest, he's getting to that age where he wants to sort of put down a first team place. And I think, unfortunately, he won't be able to get that at Arsenal with sort of the wing options that we've got.
Yeah, absolutely not. But we shall see. The transfer window we still got long left. We still have a couple of months to go. You never know what happens towards the end. Opportunities could come, opportunities could close, and it can change the player's future at the club or a player coming in. But we shall see. It is a long window there, and we are going to end the show there, the episode of Talking Transfers. Chris, as always, mate, thank you for jumping on.
Pleasure as always. Thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Alfie, as well, mate. And thank you to everyone tuning in. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Absolutely. Alfie, as always, thank you also.
Yeah, thank you both for having me on. Hopefully, an exciting end to the transfer window for us, but we shall see.
Yes, let us pray. Guys, let us know in the comment section who you want to come in. Would you like to see Milinković-Savić or Diaby or an Onana in the club? Do you think they're the right fit? If not, then who else would you like to see coming into the club? Because we do have a couple months left, but let us know your thoughts, guys. And more importantly, make sure you keep following us down the Arsenal way.